Ha ha ha. A dark-scaled, golden-horned dragon, Roadbroke, laughs, saliva dripping from his fangs. My popularity is apparently timeless. Quite the joke. Roadbroke's tone shifts. Now, what do you truly desire? Theo, a human standing small amidst the dragon's horde, hesitates, his red eyes showing no fear. But, I just told you, Theo says, his voice firm. Roadbroke's eyes narrow, unconvinced. A close-up of Roadbroke's slitted eye. Glare. You're telling me that wasn't a joke, he rumbles. That's right, Theo confirms, his own red eyes hardening. The air vibrates. Roadbroke unleashes a roar, a physical manifestation of dragon fear. Red energy surges, forcing Theo to brace himself. Insolent. Roadbroke bellows, his mouth wide, revealing sharp teeth. The word dragon fear emblazons the panel. Claim my treasures and knowledge with word games? Roadbroke unleashes another wave of dragon fear. Exploiting a guardian dragon? Theo staggers, blood trickling from his mouth. I have to hold on, he thinks. Pitiful, Roadbroke sneers. Your lesser drake's fear can't stand against me. Theo casts his own blue aura. How foolish. Roadbroke's form is a silhouette against the fiery glow. Theo shouts. You declared I could claim any treasure. You never said Lodbroke could not be that treasure. This is a long shot. But I can't let this chance slip away, Theo thinks, clenching his fist. Lodbroke, he cries. Becoming her significant other is the ultimate proof of legitimacy. I have to seize this opportunity. Theo shouts, blood staining his face. Please, give me Lodbroke. You swore on your divine word. Stand with me. A pregnant pause. Theo stands, battered but resolute. Roadbroke's eye softens. Theo is stunned. A ghostly image of Sigurd appears behind him. Tsk tisk. Roadbroke's head lowers, a semblance of a smirk on his face. Very well, he concedes. I accept. Theo stares shocked. Exclamation point. Roadbroke's draconic form melts away, transforming. The dragon's form is replaced by a stunning woman with lavender skin, long ears, and golden eyes. You've certainly caught my attention, she says. I'll give you a chance. She steps onto the gold, her movements fluid and regal. She walks across the gold, her steps light and silent. She stands tall and proud, a large, dark gem resting on her chest. Ofufu, she chuckles. You're captivated by my beauty, aren't you? Theo stares, a slight blush on his cheeks. I'm over 2,000 years old. She teases. Great guardian dragon. Theo begins, but she cuts him off. Your chest. He trails off, confused. Ah, this, she says, a hint of melancholy in her voice. I lost my heart 50 years ago. I have perhaps 3 years left. I can't help you directly. Because of this, I cannot even leave my nest, Lodbroke explains, sitting on a pile of gold. Extending a hand, she asks, Do you still want me as your reward? Theo's face hardens. Do you still want me as your reward? The lighting is soft, highlighting Theo's determination. My answer is the same. I choose you, Lodbroke, as my reward. The system. You have selected Ragnar's guardian dragon, Lodbrok, as your reward. Foolish, Lodbroke murmurs, a faint smile on her lips. But that's to be expected of a chosen one. System. Title. Guardian dragon's significant other created, and title. Descendant of the progenitor created. I will grow stronger, Theo vows. And I'll find more relics of the primordial dragon. A soul link with Lodbrok has been established, the system announces. I'll find it for you, Theo promises. Something to replace your lost heart. System. You have gained a large amount of experience points. There might be a relic of the primordial dragon capable of such a feat, Lodbroke suggests. You have leveled up, the system flashes. I suppose that's the least I can do, Lodbroke says, a playful smirk returning. Take care of me, my new significant other. But I can't leave this place, she reminds him. Until you return, I will hibernate here. She hands him a book. There's something you need to do for me, she says. To forge a true soul link with me. She begins. Read this, Lodbroke instructs, and awaken your mind gate. You should be able to do it within a month. As a bonus reward, you have acquired the grimoire, Amon, the system announces. Theo stares at the book, stunned. Grimoire Amon. Book of Amon, the hidden being. The system explains. It's great that I got the Amon grimoire, but... Theo starts worried. A month? He asks, concerned. Yes, Lodbroke replies. Is something the matter? The second stage of the awakening ceremony is happening right now, Theo explains urgently. I have less than half a month. Can I come back after the exam? Lodbrok's eyes narrow. It's possible, she says slowly. But I won't allow it, she declares. Open your mind gate before the second stage ends. I will not permit you to leave until then, she states, a surge of red energy emphasizing her power. Theo stares at her, fear and determination warring in his eyes. Time remaining till the end of the second stage. The panel is split between 6 characters involved in the exam. 13 days, 310 hours. 3 days before the start of the second stage, the Central Intelligence Bureau stands imposing amidst a snowy landscape. Ed Trovian, the shy dragon and head of intelligence, holds a small, dark marble, explaining its significance. As you know, he begins, his voice echoing in the grand hall, the reason the totems are able to create an anti-fiend safety zone is because of the fiend summoning marble inside the totem. He holds the marble up, its dark energy pulsing faintly. By amplifying the energy of fiends sealed inside the marble, it makes it so other fiends can't get close. With a sudden, sharp movement, Ed Trovian crushes the marble in his hand. The pieces scatter, and a dark, ominous energy disperses into the air. But by breaking this marble, he continues, a sinister smile spreading across his face, you can call upon a fiend whenever you desire. A monstrous, multi-eyed fiend materializes behind him, its form writhing and shifting. The monstrous, multi-eyed fiend behind Ed Trovian, its form writhing and shifting, lunges forward with a terrifying roar. The fiend's attack is a blur of motion and raw power, its multiple eyes glowing with malevolent energy as it unleashes its fury upon an unseen target. Axion Ragnar, standing nearby, listens intently as his uncle, Ed Trovian, lays out the plan. The objective of the second stage is to eliminate fiends and collect points. Therefore, Theo himself has no choice but to search for and hunt fiends. I understand what you're getting at, Uncle, Axion says, his gaze fixed on the dissipating fiend. You want me to use the marbles to lure in that bastard Theo. Ed Trovian nods, a glint of satisfaction in his eyes. That's right, but that's not enough. You can't simply lure him in and kill him. Otherwise, we might fail to obtain clues regarding the relic of the Rose Palace. Axion smirks, a cruel idea forming in his mind. Why don't I just torture him before killing him? Ed Trovian's expression turns severe. You should know better yourself. The gap in skill between you and Theo is not that large. It won't be easy for you to restrain and torture him. Ed Trovian continues. However, he appears to be far too sentimental. Use his followers against him. The dropouts who were gathered in training ground number 4. It'll be easier for you to capture them as hostages and demand information regarding the relic. Axion's hand clenches into a fist as he processes his uncle's words. I understand, Uncle, he says, his voice low and determined. The scene shifts to Axion, sitting alone in the snowy landscape, a display showing him as the first place in the second stage with 860 points. But to think that, instead of searching for any fiends, he wouldn't even show himself until the final moments of the exam, he muses, a hint of frustration in his voice. What a waste. We even went through the trouble of making sure some of the proctors would be Uncle's men. Maybe the 3 scoundrels of the council got him, a voice suggests. Felix Ragnar, the Plum Blossom Palace apprentice swordsman, ranked 7th with 446 points, approaches Axion. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense that he hasn't shown up yet. Axion's eyes narrow as he looks at Felix, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face. For being the promising talent of the Plum Blossom Palace, that's quite the garbage insight, he retorts. I can see why Lady Plum Blossom is so much more interested in Theo. Felix bristles at the insult, his hand instinctively moving to the hilt of his sword. What was that? He exclaims, a bead of sweat forming on his brow. I'm helping him catch Theo because of that, but he's taunting me for it, he thinks, gritting his teeth in frustration. Axion, unfazed, simply shrugs. It's whatever. It's not like I expected much, he says dismissively. Theo, if you won't show yourself willingly, I'll gladly force your hand. He stands up, his eyes blazing with determination. Around him, members of the Scaled Dragon Society and the Plum Blossom Palace gather, their expressions grim and resolute. The members of the Scaled Dragon Society stand ready, their faces a mix of grim determination and barely concealed bloodlust. The Plum Blossom Palace members, cloaked and mysterious, add an element of silent menace to the gathered force. It's hunting time, Axion declares, drawing his sword. We will kill the rejects of training ground number 4 one by one until he shows up. Ray Ragnar, ranked third with 561 points, watches from a distance, a knowing look in his eyes. Ray Ragnar's eyes widen slightly as he observes the unfolding events, a hint of apprehension in his gaze. A frost lizard, a formidable fiend, is brutally slain, its icy body shattered and splattered with blood. Meanwhile, in a different location, Sybil Dree, Yodi Naren, and Benat Ramiro, ranked 68th, 53rd, and 62nd respectively, celebrate their victory over a frost lizard. We defeated a yellow demon bell fiend, one of them exclaims. I'll have to brag to young Master Theo after the exam, says Sybil, grinning widely. But there are only 12 hours remaining until the end of the second stage, another points out. Where's young Master Theo? We even secured so many supplies for him. They discuss Theo's potential strategies, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. I was still excited to see young Master Theo become the valedictorian again, Sybil says, a hint of disappointment in his voice. He promised he'd shout me out. Suddenly, a figure appears behind them, striking down Sybil with a swift, brutal attack. Orion Gardner, ranked 14th with 173 points, stands over Sybil's fallen form, a mocking smile on his face. Y'all make me laugh, he says, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Scaled Dragon Society. What's the meaning of this? One of the remaining two exclaims, shock and fear evident in his voice. What do you think it is? Orion replies, his smile widening. Your sacrificial lambs to summon your precious young master. We also really want to see your damned young master, Theo. So don't resent us too much. Elsewhere, in Lodbrok's nest, Theo Ragnar is engaged in a different kind of battle. Surrounded by treasure and ancient artifacts, he converses with Rodbrok, the guardian dragon of the Ragnar clan. How surprising, Rodbrok remarks, her eyes fixed on Theo. To be able to open the mind gate in less than half a month. A holographic display appears, indicating that Theo has partially grasped the magical principles within Grimoire, Amon, creating a new skill. Thankfully, the information I overheard in my past life was true, Theo says, a satisfied smirk playing on his lips. The most important factor when learning the Amon Grimoire is the quantity and quality of magic power. Because I possess both a mana haul and the dragon heart, I guess it's only natural that I can learn twice as fast as normal people, Theo continues, his eyes gleaming with power. Another system message appears, stating that his state is too low and a lower-ranked skill, Hatchling Synchro, has manifested. The majestic form of the guardian dragon, Rodbrok, fills the space around Theo, its ethereal presence radiating power and ancient wisdom. A holographic text box details Theo's newly acquired skill. Hatchling Synchro rank C, freely manipulate and read the residual thoughts of objects through psychokinesis. I guess that much is a must to call yourself my significant other, Rodbrok says, her voice laced with amusement. With that, you now have the basics. The rest you must continue mastering through training. She explains that once he reaches a higher level, he will be able to hear her voice and borrow Lodbrok's power. Of course, for that, my recovery must be prioritized, Rodbrok adds. Don't forget, I have 3 years to live at best. Theo nods, his expression determined. Worry not. I will accomplish it. Rodbrok's serpentine gaze intensifies, her golden eyes boring into Theo's as she prepares to impart a crucial piece of information. Theo's hand glows with an otherworldly energy as he prepares to accept the power offered to him. Rodbrok declares that the primordial covenant has been fulfilled, and she will await their next meeting. Rodbrok's form begins to dissipate, her voice echoing as she speaks her final words to Theo. Theo, now alone, reflects on his progress and begins to walk through a snowy landscape. Phew. It's nice that I formed a pact with Lodbrok, but I've made zero progress with the awakening ceremony. I only have 12 hours left. He realizes that hunting fiends normally won't get him to first place in time. That only leaves one strategy: stealing the bells of others. Theo recalls that Axion got first place in his past life and doubts that has changed. In other words, I can get first place by simply defeating Axion, he concludes. As he prepares to confront Axion, he feels a presence approaching. He turns, sensing a presence behind him, his hand instinctively going to his weapon. A figure suddenly appears behind him. Found you, a voice says, causing Theo to turn around in surprise. You're, he exclaims, his eyes widening in recognition. In the snowy forest, a lone figure stands, gripping a sword. This is Theo Ragnar, and a sense of anticipation hangs in the air. Here you are, a voice says, cutting through the silence. The scene reveals a close-up of a sinister, smiling face, stained with blood. Theo's eyes widen in shock, glowing red. You, he exclaims, recognizing the person. Before him stands Ray Ragnar, one of the 4 hounds of the north, gravely injured, leaning against a tree. R.A. Ragnar? Theo exclaims. What happened to you? Were you attacked by monsters? How can a monster injure you like that? He asks, rushing to her side. Ray coughs, her breath forming white puffs in the cold air. Theo's eyes narrow, focusing on something specific. As Theo gets closer, he notices something horrifying. Sword wounds. Was she attacked by a person? He thinks. Just what happened to you? Theo asks again. Let's talk later, Ray replies weakly, gesturing with her head. First, go to the west. She collapses. Theo catches her, steadying her frail form. Careful, he says softly. He gently takes her sword, examining it closely. The sword glows with an ethereal light. Using the hatchling synchronization, the thoughts hidden within the sword will be conveyed. A system message appears. Another message pops up, reading the memories of the sword owner, Ray Ragnar. Theo's eyes widen as he connects with Ray's memories. In a flashback, Ray stands before Axion Ragnar, the leader of the Scaled Dragon Society. What about Theo? Axion asks. There's still no news about him, someone replies. But since we've done this much, so he should show up soon, right? Axion's men have left traces to lure Theo, but Axion is impatient. Should I kill? One of them asks, gesturing towards the bound captives from training ground number 4. Huh? What? Did I do something wrong? He stammers when Axion glares at him. No, I mean these guys. Why did you bring 9 people here? Axion says, 2 or 3 people are enough to be held as hostages. The soldier, emboldened, suggests, these punks. Haha, then let's just kill some of them. Suddenly, Ray appears, intervening. Stop, she commands. What is it, Ray Ragnar? Axion asks, turning to face her. This is crossing the line, Ray states, her expression stern. Doesn't this have nothing to do with you? Axion's subordinate retorts. I don't want to make things more difficult. Pay no attention here and go your way. Ray remains steadfast. They're Theo's comrades. Let them go. Axion's eyes narrow. I see. You're also on that idiot's side, he says, his voice dripping with contempt. He launches a swift attack, engaging Ray in a fierce duel. Despite her skill, Ray is ultimately outmatched. A message appears explaining, because of the lack of a status, some thoughts can't be read. The scene shifts back to Theo, still holding Ray and the sword. What happened? Why did Axion hold captive my 4 comrades? He thinks. He grabs Ray. Tell me. What happened? He demands. Through the sword, he hears Ray's voice, explaining the situation. As soon as we started, Axion was desperate to catch you. But you couldn't be found, so he took your friends hostage to lure you. Theo's grip on the sword tightens. What? I didn't come here to tell you that. Axion. Ed. You're not letting me be in this life either, he shouts. But I'm no longer the person who keeps getting trampled by you. Theo asks Ray, so where are they? Where is Axion waiting for me? The scene shifts. In another part of the forest, a soldier rushes up to Axion. Theo. Theo appeared, he reports, panting. He suddenly appeared at the edge of the northern cliff. Axion's eyes gleam with anticipation. Really? He asks. I'm sure. Right now, he's in contact with Ray Ragnar. I think he will come here soon, the soldier adds. Finally you appear, Theo Ragnar. Axion says. I'll prove to you that a bastard like you won't be able to surpass me. Some of the supervisors, sent by Ed Trovian and hidden in the trees, overhear the conversation. Don't forget, young Master Axion, one of them says. There's no need to face him directly. You just have to get some information about the relics through the hostages. We will take care of Theo Ragnar while we get rid of him. Use the summoning orb to turn away the eyes of the supervisors around you. Axion nods, a confident smirk on his face. Don't worry, he says, his gaze fixed on the snowy landscape. Back with Theo and Ray, she warns him urgently. No, you can't go to Axion. The supervisors of the Intelligence Bureau are also on Axion's side. Even you, Theo, won't be able to handle it. Theo's expression is grim. This is no longer a test, but a slaughter. This is a trap to kill you. You can't go alone. Let's find the other supervisors, convince them, and go together. Ray pleads. There's no time, Theo says. I'm thankful for your help. But while we're being like this, something might happen to those guys. I have to go right now. Ray, realizing the urgency, relents. Are you stupid? You'll die if you go. What's the use of everything if you're dead? Even if there are some sacrifices, you have to. Theo cuts her off. I don't want to lose my people again. I don't want to. A flashback shows a younger Theo with Remington, drinking and laughing together. Our goal is to pass the second blooming ceremony together, Theo says, raising his glass. Ray shouts, this is Ragnar. It's impossible to not have any sacrifices. Let's gather here again. Remington replies, smiling in another flashback. Theo shouts, you also interfered. Ray says. Theo says to Ray, you also couldn't just stand still and watch. He gently holds her. Another memory shows the Rose Palace in flames, and Rendon killing Theo's servants. Why is the Rose Palace burning? Someone asks. Why are your servants dying? That's because you're Ragnar's idiot. Because you're the weakest, Rendon says coldly. Amongst the strong Ragnars, the memories fuel Theo's determination. I'm tired of always suffering pathetically, he says. He gently lays Ray down. I can't repeat my past mistakes. He stares up at a monstrous figure. So tell me, where is Axion? Theo walks away and stumbles upon the supplies Sybil collected. He picks up a box, finding a dropped bell amongst the scattered items. Blood traces. Something bad happened, he mutters. Ray looks at him. Something bad happened, she says. As he examines the scene, Wellington Narcio, second place with 688 points, appears nearby, looking worse for wear and holding a bloodied book. They stand on a cliff, overlooking the snowy landscape. Doesn't it seem so? Ray says. Two figures, Halkus and Erica, stand nearby. I'm sorry, but I hope you can help me for a while, Wellington says, noticing Halkus Ranka, fifth place with 499 points, and Erica Ranka, fourth place with 521 points, standing nearby. Wellington's gaze is fixed on the supplies and the evidence of a struggle. A massive, white, furry ice ogre with sharp claws and teeth rears back, ready to strike. The ice ogre swings its massive arm, striking a figure in dark clothing who wields a sword. The dark-clothed figure, Theo, is seen dodging the ice ogre's attack, moving with incredible speed. Theo channels power into their sword, their eyes gleaming, and says, I don't have time. Move. The ice ogre is sliced by Theo's sword, blood splattering as he demands the creature to move. Theo dashes past the fallen ice ogre, moving so fast he's almost a blur. Theo thinks to himself, there's a high chance that Sybil and the other hostages are still alive. Ed should be the one instructing Axion, so he probably set this up to kill me cleanly without causing any chaos. More of the white, furry ice ogres run towards Theo. Theo thinks, the fact that the supervisors are with Axion is the proof. Theo attacks, using a technique called Dragon's Third Claw, slicing through multiple ice ogres at once. He thinks, the supervisors who were deployed to kill me. Theo thinks, will definitely control Axion's sudden behavior. Another ice ogre, standing in front of Theo, roars in defiance. Theo thinks, even so, I still must move quickly, because Axion is a variable that's hard to control. Theo strikes the ice ogre, adding, but thanks to that variable. Theo prepares to make another slash with his sword. The ice ogre is slashed with a powerful blow. Theo is now behind the creature, sheathing his sword, and confidently thinks, I will be able to catch Axion. A nostalgic memory flashes through Theo's mind. A younger Theo with Remington, walking through a snowy forest. Right, Theo, you've always been like this since you were young, Remington says, smiling. The young Theo looks back at Remington, smiling, and says, let's go home first. The memory strengthens Theo's determination. This time, he vows. Theo is seen walking away, stepping in a pool of blood. Theo continues, thinking, I will help you. Meanwhile, Axion Ragnar and his men hold the captured members of Training Ground Number 4 hostage. Sybil, one of the captives, struggles against his bonds, shouting, "Umph! Umph!" One of Axion's men silences Sybil. "Noisy," he says, his voice cold. "I told you that if you don't shut up, I'll kill you," Axion says, approaching the bound Sybil with a menacing grin. An aide whispers to Axion, "Young Master Axion, don't forget the director of the Intelligence Bureau's advice to not make any unexpected changes." Axion, momentarily taken aback, regains his composure. "Fine," he mutters, accepting a sword from his subordinate. Axion tightens the gag on one of the bound men. Axion sits on one of the bound men, looking down at the others. Axion's eyes glow red as he clenches his fist. 4 senior high-ranking prosecutors are sent to kill that punk Theo. In the end, maternal uncle doesn't believe that I can win against that guy. That idiot. Axion thinks. One of the bound men shouts in surprise. The bound men struggle and try to shout again. Axion looks back, a sinister expression on his face. "You finally showed up," Axion says. "Theo Ragnar," he sneers, stepping forward to confront him as Theo appears amidst the chaos. The bound men look on in shock. Theo stands his ground, his eyes blazing with determination. 4 men stand behind Axion watching. Theo stares intensely. Axion sits calmly on the bound man, addressing Theo. Axion says, "You made me wait for so long." Theo's eyes narrow. Axion stands up abruptly. Axion turns around, facing away from Theo. Axion looks back at Theo, a tear forming in his eye. "Young Master Axion," Sybil says weakly. Axion sighs deeply. "You must have come here knowing the situation. So let's get to the point right away," Axion says, his voice dripping with arrogance. "If you want to save your friends, you have to." Axion pauses, a look of mock concern crossing his face. "Were you scared? Were you scared that you're going to lose to me?" he taunts. Theo's eyes narrow, but he remains silent, asking, "What? What kind of nonsense are you talking about? If it's not that, then there's no reason for you to do this. Gathering lots of people, those glaring eyes at me, even the shameful hostage situation," Theo counters, his voice steady. Axion laughs, a cruel glint in his eyes. "Aren't those all? Because you're scared of losing to me?" he repeats, his voice rising. Theo says, "The reputation of being the strongest in the Northern 4 must be fake." "You bastard," Axion says. Theo continues, "If not, try fighting me once. Just like a Ragnar. A sword fight." "Of course," Theo replies, his voice calm and unwavering. Theo adds, "That is only if you still have an ounce of pride left." Axion's men are shocked by Theo's audacity. "Haha, sword fight?" one of them mutters. "If I lose, I'll give you everything you want, including my life," Axion says, his voice dripping with confidence. "On the other hand, if I win, release the Ragnar's idiot is requesting a sword fight with me?" Axion says, turning to his men, a condescending smirk on his face. "You don't seem to know that your arrogance is as high as the sky," one of his men remarks. "Do you really think that I'm scared of you?" Axion asks, his eyes fixed on Theo. His aide tries to intervene. "Young Master Axion, it's just a provocation. You don't have to respond to him. You can't fall for his tricks. Just do as planned." Axion silences him with a glare. "Shut up. Are you guys saying that you don't trust me?" he shouts. Axion turns back to Theo, a smug grin on his face. "All right, Theo Ragnar. Let's fight," he says, drawing his sword. Theo, his expression unreadable, prepares for battle. Before Axion can finish, Theo interrupts him. "TSK. Things are getting complicated. What should we do now?" Rendon says, watching the scene unfold. "It's still within our expectations. It's just that our work increased a bit," another supervisor replies. "If young Master Axion goes too far, we go as planned. This is a sword fight of the prideful Ragnar. No one can interfere until the fight is over. Don't touch the hostages, who are the stakes," Rendon instructs, his gaze fixed on the unfolding duel. Theo and Axion clash, their swords meeting in a flurry of sparks. The fight continues, their swords a blur. Axion is surprised by Theo's skill. "Thank you. Let's not waste time and get into it," Theo says, his voice low and intense. He launches a series of swift attacks, pushing Axion back. The two clash again, sparks flying. "Ugh! Such tricks from a concubine's child," Axion shouts, struggling to keep up with Theo's relentless assault. The The fight intensifies, their swords creating shockwaves. Theo, channeling his inner power, unleashes the dragon's third claw. And then 1,000 dragons roar, overwhelming Axion with a barrage of powerful strikes. The force of the blows sends Axion reeling. Theo unleashes his own technique. Dragon's third claw. A wave of blue energy emanates from his sword. Axion is shocked, realizing he's outmatched. Theo stands victorious. His sword pointed at Axion's throat. Are you skilled enough to teach? Theo asks, his voice filled with a mixture of determination and suppressed rage. As the dust settles, damn it! Orion Gardner, a scaled Dragon Society executive ranked 14th with 179 points, clenches his fist. He had been skeptical after the first stage, watching the two figures clash in the snowy forest, but now he wonders, is Theo really this skilled? The situation is dire. This is difficult. Axion could lose here, Orion thinks, frowning, as a bead of sweat trickles down his face contemplating a drastic move. Should I just betray him and switch over to Theo? Axion was always a cocky son of a bitch. He pauses, a single tear falling from his eye as he weighs his options. No, Orion decides, turning his attention to the snowy surroundings. The Central Intelligence Bureau's proctors are here. I'm sure they'll take care of it. Let's focus on distracting the other proctors. He rallies his group with a shout. Scaled Dragon Society, disperse. We don't want to get caught up in the chaos. We'll leave this to Axion and move separately. The group quickly departs, following Orion's command. A flashback begins, revealing a young Axion Ragnar. Axion, you must take the throne of Ragnar, Ed Trovian says, standing beside Emil Ragnar, for your mother and uncle, for the prosperity of the Troivan clan. The Ragnar name is merely a front. You are a Troivan. Do you understand? Young Axion looks up at them, his eyes wide. The scene shifts back to the present, where Axion is engaged in a fierce duel with Theo. Impressive, he grunts, parrying a blow from Theo. Theo shouts his name with a battle cry, Theo Ragnar. Their swords clash. Sparks flying in the snowy air. Thanks for acting exactly as expected, Axion. Theo says, a smirk playing on his lips. In another location, the council members watch the battle unfold. Theo Ragnar has finally shown himself. He has come into contact with Axion Ragnar. One of them reports. There we go. So you're finally making a move, Theo. Julius Ragnar exclaims, a grin spreading across his face. I knew he'd be safe and sound. Wolfgang Ragnar nods in agreement. Huh, he wasn't taken care of by the scoundrels? He asks, surprised. So he was alive. Thank goodness, Ed Trovian says, a hint of relief in his voice. I may not know what he has been up to, but my plan can finally be put into motion. After Axion extracts information about the relic, the high-rank swordsman I selected will cut him down. Back at the duel, Theo and Axion continue their fierce exchange. Theo demonstrates exceptional swordsmanship, but Axion counters with his own techniques. Secret technique, Jester's footwork, he says, his movements becoming unpredictable. But Theo is able to keep up. He's strong. He's grown at a remarkable pace. However, he's not that fast. Your movements. I can read them all. Theo thinks, his eyes narrowed in concentration. Suddenly, Axion surprises Theo with a sword-throwing technique. A sword-throwing technique? Theo exclaims, narrowly dodging the attack. One of the hostages is hit. Axion falls to the ground after throwing his sword. You should know, Axion says, his voice cold and steady. Using a secret technique with predetermined movements only serves to inform your opponent of your next location. Theo's eyes widen in realization as he recognizes the technique. It's the same one used to kill him in his past life. So it was you? Theo asks, his gaze piercing, his voice filled with a mix of pain and anger. The memory of the thrown sword that pierced him flashes before his eyes. Axion is on the floor laughing, blood dripping from his mouth. Theo's hand is shown, as if to silence Axion. Finish it already, Theo commands, his eyes cold. The motherfucker who did that. The day I died. Theo says. The day I died. I was fated to die without learning who burned down our Rose Palace. Because I had no power, he remembers, his voice filled with pain. Theo has a flashback of the day he died. Fortunately, Rendon took off his mask for me. Thanks to Evelyn's investigation, I was able to find out that Rendon and the Camellia Palace were deeply connected. So it was a logical conclusion. A close-up of a hooded figure's back. And among the Troivans, there is one person who uses sword throwing, an uncommon technique. Axion Ragnar. That's because unless one was highly arrogant, one would never use a move where they could lose their weapon. I wasn't 100% sure before, but I'm now certain that I've seen it again with my own two eyes. Theo's grip on his sword tightens. Both back then and now, he says, his voice filled with determination. Why are you motherfuckers so desperate to kill me? He breaks Axion's sword with his bare hand, sending Axion sprawling. He broke a sword with his bare hands? Axion's men gasp in disbelief. This isn't like my past life. Theo's hand gripping his sword, blood dripping. I will save myself and all my comrades, Theo vows, his eyes blazing with resolve. The fight intensifies as Theo unleashes a flurry of attacks. Where are you aiming? What's with this half-baked imitation? Axion taunts, dodging Theo's strikes. But Theo's movements become even more precise and powerful, overwhelming Axion. What the hell is this? It's no ordinary killing intent. What's with this ridiculous mana level? Axion thinks, his eyes wide with shock and fear. He recalls Theo's hidden power during the first stage. Could it be? Was this bastard hiding his skills during the first stage? Why? He wonders, struggling to comprehend the situation. Theo continues his relentless assault. A forest is shown, the trees illuminated by a strange light. Theo blocks Axion's attack again, sparks flying. Axion attempts to strike, but Theo is too quick. Theo's hand glows with power. Axion grits his teeth, a bead of sweat rolling down his face. Theo smirks. You son of a bitch. Axion shouts, parrying another blow. Theo counters Axion's attack with deadly precision. Theo's eyes are cold and focused. KGH. Axion grunts in pain. Axion lands hard on the ground. Axion struggles to get up as Theo approaches. Theo looms over Axion, his sword raised. Axion looks up at Theo, his eyes wide with fear. Exclamation point. Axion is surprised. Theo's eyes glow with power. Theo swings his sword, a whirlwind of energy surrounding him. Axion, he says. Theo takes a step forward, his movements swift. Theo holds his sword, a dark, menacing weapon. Axion shivers, his face contorted in pain and fear. Theo plunges his sword towards Axion, the impact imminent. This doesn't look like a trace of a monster attack, but a trace of being taken by someone, Remington observes, surveying the blood-stained snow. The only one who can do such a thing is Axion, Halkus states, his voice grim. Axion? But he's in first place. Does he want to get more bells? Remington wonders aloud. It seems like he took Theo's subordinates as hostages to call him out. It seems like he's intending to get rid of Theo in the second blooming ceremony, he deduces. Halkus is outraged. What? He should fight him fair and square. What is he even doing? Turns out Axion is a coward, huh? He exclaims, his fists clenching. Erica, however, remains pragmatic. So what? This is Ragnar's blooming ceremony. It's normal for a situation like this to occur, she says, her voice calm despite the circumstances. Remington sighs. That's why I don't like Ragnar, he mutters. Even if this is a battle of strength, it is still unacceptable. Erica's words take a sharper tone. Your words are dangerous. Are you being serious? She asks, her gaze fixed on Remington. Remington, however, stands firm. I must save his subordinates, he declares, his resolve hardening. If it were Theo, he would do the same. If you come with me, you'd be of great help. He turns to Halkus and Erica, hoping for their support. We must go. Nuna, you're coming with us, right? Halkus asks, looking to his sister for confirmation. Erica hesitates for a moment, then sighs. No, I'm not interested, she says, turning away. I followed you because I thought I'd be able to meet Theo Ragnar, but I don't see him. And I really hate weak men. I don't really want to save them. Halkus is shocked and hurt. Nuna, are you trash? He asks, his voice filled with disbelief. What, you punk? Erica retorts, glaring at her brother. Remington steps forward, interjecting, Erica, I know the reason why you want to meet Theo. Erica looks surprised. I guarantee you, if you help me this time, it will be a great help for you in achieving your goal. The scene shifts to a snowy landscape. He turns and starts walking away. Halkus and Erica exchange a look before following Remington, their intentions unclear. Calling back to them, wait just a bit longer, everyone. As they move through the forest, they are suddenly stopped by a group of people. You can't go any further, a voice says. The group stands in a snowy landscape, surrounded by trees. Joryong Society? Remington says, recognizing their insignia. It's been a while, Wellington, Orion says, a smirk playing on his lips. I can't believe you threw us away and be with some dumbass. Now, are you hanging with those stupid bears, Ranka? Halkus bristles at the insult. What? Is he saying that we're stupid, dumb-headed bears that use our muscles as a brain? He shouts, his temper flaring. I didn't say all that, Orion replies, his smirk widening. Remington steps forward, trying to defuse the situation. Move away, Orion. I don't want to fight an old friend, he says, his voice calm but firm. I refuse, Orion retorts, his eyes fixed on Remington. Remington sighs, realizing that a confrontation is inevitable. If you don't want to move, he begins, drawing his sword. I can only get rid of you, Orion finishes, his men moving to attack. The two groups clash, swords ringing in the snowy air. Orion is thrown back. Close up on Orion's bloody sword. Orion is lying on the ground. Back at the duel, Axion manages to land a blow, throwing his sword. Axion's sword is impaled in the ground and piercing one of the hostages. The hostage lies on the ground as the three continue their journey. The three continue running. Two swords clash. A man in white fights against a dark-cloaked figure. He's finally coming forward. Theo thinks, recognizing the proctor's intervention. Sorry, young Master Axion, the figure says, revealing himself to be Liam Troyven, a senior exam proctor. I'll receive my punishment after the blooming ceremony. The man in white and Liam clash swords again. He turns to Axion. Escort the young master, he commands. Liam jumps through the air. Young Master Axion, you've fought enough. Let us take care of the rest. We've retrieved the sword you dropped. He hands the sword back to Axion. Close up on Axion's hand as he takes the sword. Axion glares, furious at the interruption. Liam throws his sword into the air. Theo looks up in surprise as Liam attacks him. Liam and Axion clash swords. Liam and Axion continue to fight. Liam and Axion's swords clash again. Close up on Liam's sword as he fights. Axion blocks Liam's attack. Liam turns to face Theo, a cold expression on his face. I have no choice but to admit, he won't be pushed back by Axion, nor the new senior proctors I brought today. But we're not at the same level. Leon de Gladys. This is the only chance to kill him without any supervisors nearby. Although it's a waste to kill a talented person like this. Everything is for the sake of Troyven. He launches a powerful attack. Goodbye, Theo Ragnar, he says, his voice echoing through the forest. Theo's eye is shown, glowing red. Close up on Theo's eye. Before Theo can react, a sword pierces Liam from behind. Liam coughs up blood, his eyes wide with shock. It's Axion. Why, young master? What is this? I told you not to intervene, Liam gasps, collapsing to his knees. Axion, his eyes blazing with fury, yanks the sword free.